recently, the Veteran Administration's Inspector General found systemic problems at a VA hospital in Phoenix, Arizona, confirming, according to CBS News, the mounting reports of misconduct and lengthy wait times that had been circulating. In light of the scandal, VA Secretary Eric Shinseki stepped down. It is a big black eye on a nation that will be commemorating the 70th anniversary of the D-Day invasion on Friday. In light of the VA hospital scandal and the anniversary, we have invited two lawmakers on the program today. Senator Lee Zeldin, a major in the Army Reserves and a member of the Senate Veterans, Homeland Security, and Military Affairs Committee, as well as a candidate for Congress, and Assemblyman Michael Benedetto, chair of the Assembly Committee on Veterans Affairs. I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, Chairman.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Senator Zeldin, it's great to have you by phone. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me as well.
So we're going to start with Michael Benedetto. I actually want to give both of you a chance to weigh in on the VA scandal because it really it speaks to a certain elemental outrage. We owe our veterans for so much, and yet we're not paying them back what we should be paying. Chairman Benedetto.
Yes. Well, 250 years ago, supposedly at least, George Washington was quoted as saying that the willingness which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive how the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation. And
so true.
And I don't know if George Washington actually said that. It's been disputed, but what is indisputable...
He should have said it.
Exactly. And based on what we're reading, we should hang our heads in shame.
Senator Zeldin, can you weigh in? This must be personal for you, somebody who is in the Army Reserve.
Yeah, I think that it was critical for there to be a change in leadership at the VA. I mean, there are on several different fronts. You have veterans dying on secret waiting lists. You have hundreds of thousands of disability claims backlogged because the leadership wasn't switching their systems over to current modern-day technology and putting the proper resources behind it. Veterans coming home with post-traumatic stress disorder and not getting the mental health support that they need. On so many different levels, we saw a need for a change of culture of the VA, a change of leadership. I have tremendous amount of respect for Eric Shinseki's time of service in the military. He has dedicated his life to this country, but we need a new leadership.
Do you agree that we needed new leadership, Chairman Benedetto?
Well, unfortunately, yes. The secretary was a good man whose certainly heart was in the right place, but I think what they needed was, and it still needed, a complete uprooting of the culture that's there, and maybe you have to tear everything down and rebuild from scratch to make this work effectively.
According to reporting by the New York Times, Republicans are saying the problem is not necessarily a lack of money. The department has a $154 billion annual budget, which has more than doubled since 2006. Rather, the problem, Republicans say, is inefficiency in the delivery of care. Democrats say that the problem is a serious shortage of doctors and not enough hospitals. What is your perspective? I'm going to ask each of you, starting with Chairman Benedetto.
Well, it's a fact that since 2010, we've had 2 million more veterans access the Veteran Administration system. This is a tremendous increase, and I guess the Veterans Administration was ill-equipped to deal with it. We certainly need more doctors and more clinicians to deal with the problems and the amount of veterans coming in seeking what they rightfully deserve, their just service.
The number of outpatient visits to VA health facilities has grown by 26% over the last 5 years. So what do you think, Senator Zeldin?
Well, I think that we need to think outside the box a little bit. Some of the ideas that have been floated. I mean, we have a robust National Guard and Reserve Force. We have many medics. Now we fortunately are winding down the conflicts overseas after 13 years of being heavily engaged in Iraq and Afghanistan. Very experienced medics. I would suggest we utilize our own resources. I mean, we have our doctors and their assistants drilling 1 week in a month, 2 weeks of the year, and to allow the VA to catch up to modern times, to reduce the backlog, and for so many people who are waiting for great care. I think we need to think outside the box here, because there isn't an unlimited amount of funds to do everything that we want to do, but we have to make sure that our veterans are getting the standard of care that they are entitled to and deserve after their sacrifice.
So, Chairman Benedetto, a few ideas that have been floated in recent weeks. One is allowing veterans to seek medical care outside the VA, giving them more flexibility, giving them a choice of health care providers, sort of giving them a card and letting them go to wherever, the people have the room to accept them and have the capacity. What do you think?
I think it's an excellent idea. It will mean enabling legislation by Congress, and I think they should act on that forthwith. But I think there should be an outline. So a veteran wants to be treated, he calls up his local VA hospital, and if they can't give him a date within, let's say, 3 days or 5 days, then he should be allowed to go to his private physician if that's the one he wants to see. I think it's an excellent idea, and I think Congress should act on it immediately.
Senator Zeldin?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree as well. I mean, when it comes to our veterans, we really can't spare any expense or any great idea to improve coverage. And really, it's issues like our veterans where you would hope that we can put partisanship completely aside, and any dysfunction that's plaguing Congress or plaguing Washington, we can move past to take advantage of any opportunity to improve the standard of care.
So, did you want to mention something?
Yeah, I want to jump in. I completely agree with the senator. When it comes to our veterans, we've got to put partisanship aside, and that all too often is what doesn't happen in this culture, this 24 news culture that we live in today. Everybody wants to sponsor and posture. Instead of saying, okay, we've got a problem, let's take a step back, let's look for solutions. And not blame anybody. We can do that later on, and hopefully we'll fire all those people who have been responsible for this. But we got to put the bickering aside and find solutions and act on those solutions.
So I wanted to bring it back to New York here for a second. One of the issues is that there aren't enough places for the vets to go. And in rural New York, Chairman Benedetto, there's a problem because some of these veterans live, way up in, Watertown, and they have to come down to Albany to the VA. What can be done about that? That doesn't seem right.
Well, you're absolutely right, and part of the solution could be to allow the veterans to go to their own, personal doctors if they're indeed certified by the veterans. But there are a lot of centers out there for veterans that veterans unfortunately don't know about. I believe one of the programs that Senator Zeldin has been intimately involved in is the private first-class Joseph Dwyer peer-to-peer counseling program, where we have throughout the state of New York 11 different counties where this program exists, and it's a wonderful program. It's a veterans counseling, veterans on mental health issues, and it's other type programs like that can be found throughout the state, so they don't have to travel all the way into the vet hospitals.
So Lee Zeldin, this is in 11 counties. Why not 63 counties?
Well, it's actually, so we started in 4 counties, and the counties have proven that this program works, providing peer support, and quite honestly, it really should be in every county in the entire country. New York State is stepping up to fill an important void, not only for the state, but the counties, the local organizations within the counties. I would love to see the Dwyer program in all 63 counties in New York State. We have veterans in all 63 counties. We have veterans of post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury in all 63 counties. So I would absolutely love to see that. And, the way it just got off the ground, we kind of had to prove that the model works. And I think at this point we've had that level of success where we have literally saved lives here in New York where veterans not only did they survive their struggles with PTSD, but their marriage survived. They were able to find a job, to get back on their feet because they felt isolated and alone. And it's caused, in many respects, due to the fact that they might go to a VA and you can't medicate every single problem.
No, you have to talk about it.
Active duty. Yeah, I remember on active duty, it was just Tylenol with codeine. If you have a headache, you have a broken arm,
Tylenol with codeine. And that's not the answer all the time. Chairman Benedetto.
Yes, and by the way, let me just jump in as far as what the senator kind of, referenced. The marriage has survived, and certainly the problem goes a lot further than our veterans and how it affects their marriage, how it affects the children in that marriage, the children see dad or mom go away, and they return 3 years later, and it's not the same parent that they had before, the same loving, hugging parent, and that's a terrible issue. There are new programs coming out all the time trying to deal with post-traumatic stress and mental health issues. One of which is called a program called Cobalt, which relies heavily on the computer. One of the problems we know in our veteran community is that there is a high rate of insomnia. And unfortunately, there's also a correspondence between insomnia and suicide. Just terrible when you start thinking about all these problems. Well, Cobalt is the name of this particular program, which allows a veteran to register online and then receive pre-programmed counseling from videos that are online that they can access 24 hours a day. So if they wake up in the middle of the night, they can go on their computer, and if they're registered, they can access these videos that can help them. Okay. But as the senator so rightly said, there's still an awful lot of evaluation for these programs to see how well they work, and that's still evolving.
Okay, so Senator Zeldin, what would you like to see New York do for its veterans?
Well, for one, I'd love to see the continued expansion of the Dwyer program. I'm encouraged by the agreement that was struck just a couple months back with regards to our businesses hiring disabled veterans, placing bids for state contracts. Last year in the state budget, we had a tax credit for businesses hiring veterans. I think it's...
The New York State Troops to Energy program is similar to that. It's a Cuomo program.
And I'll tell you, another huge problem are our homeless veterans. I would love to see more support from the state government of different counties' efforts to have stand-downs where our homeless veterans will come and get everything from a shower and clothes to food to medical treatment. So I think that's another important area we can help.
We have about 20 seconds. Chairman Benedetto, what would you like New York to do?
I'm working on a bill right now called Veteran Villages, where we take state of New York buildings that are not in use anymore and use economic development funds that maybe have been set aside for that and open them up for veterans coming out of the Army so they would have 3-6 months to decompress and get services for them. That's something I would love to see.
Fascinating program. Senator Zeldin.
Support for the Capitol Press Room with Susan Arbetter comes from CSEA, New York's leading union for more than a century. Family, friends, and neighbors on the line every day.